So, hey everyone, welcome to the Blab. And we have today as our guests, we've got Jem Meyer, and she is absolutely phenomenal. She runs the instrumental in the blogging society here in New Zealand, so Bloggers NZ. And we've got Natalie, and she runs her own business and she helps women entrepreneurs. But I'm Juanita, and I am the CEO of the Online Business Academy here. But I'll let them tell you a little bit more about themselves. So, guys, go. And I just want to say to everybody joining, just quickly, if you don't see one of us, like if there's not a screen or you can't see us, just refresh and we'll come back. So, Jem, tell us a little bit about you.
Oh, me. Okay, I'm first. I was like, go, Natalie. Hi, everyone from everywhere around the world. This is great. Just a little bit, well, as Juanita's mentioned, I organize the NZ Bloggers Network here in Auckland. So it is growing, so I'm excited about that. We pretty much just educate and support bloggers through, learning and meetups. Social Media Club Auckland, and I do manage a little company called Conversology. So we do location-based social media. That's it.
Cool. And Nets?
Hey, everybody. This is actually my second Blab. I was on a Blab podcast the other day. So we basically did the podcast interview live. I was the guest. It hasn't come out yet as a podcast. But excited to be here. So my name is Natalie Cutler-Welsh. I am the go-to girl for women entrepreneurs. So my tagline is making social media and networking easy, fun, and fabulous. That's what I love to do.
Fantastic. So we've got three fabulous ladies here, hopefully, and hopefully we can give you some really good tips and advice and hints on the content for your digital and social media. And we did choose the topic of digital and social because we wanted to cover some websites, blogs, as well as, the platforms, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, all of those. So let's get going. And if you've got a question or you want to jump onto the Blab, feel free. There's an open seat. Feel free to jump on, either share your thoughts or ask questions. Just go for it. So let's have a bit of a start. And content. How about we discuss, what kind of content do you think that it's important to have different content across all the different platforms?
Just to clarify, Juanita, when you say different platforms, we're talking about just social networks or including websites as well? Or
no, let's talk social networks. Let's only talk social networks at the moment, because obviously with websites and blogging and things like that, it would be different. So let's just talk about the social platforms at the moment.
Natalie, go.
Oh, I was just about to. I'm just tweeting out. I'm going on live on the Blab. I'm just doing a quick tweet.
Me too. See, just for the people, and I was telling the ladies earlier before we started, I'm like, oh no, we just changed clocks. So technically it is 9 o'clock and I'm not a morning person. So I need to, so you were talking about content on social networks, and the question is,
I'll start. I'm ready. I sent my tweet.
Thank you.
Okay. So, well, first of all, I always say to people, don't be overwhelmed by social media in the sense that don't put the pressure on yourself to feel like you need to be everywhere. So take a load off and realize you only really need to be on 2 to 3 social media platforms where your people are actually hanging out. So it means revisiting who are your people anyway? Where are they? That's where you should be. I mean, people like Juanita, Jem, and I, we're everywhere, but we're social media experts. So that's cool. But for everybody else, take the pressure off, be where your people are. And on those platforms, let's say it's Instagram and Facebook that you choose to primarily focus on, so my answer is yes, I would be posting the same content, but I would tweak it for the particular platform, right? So if I'm posting something on Facebook, I'm kind of chatty and excited, and maybe I tell it more like a story because Facebook doesn't like anything too salesy anymore. But then when I put that same content, let's use LinkedIn, for example. On LinkedIn, I kind of just am slightly more professional. I'm still myself. I'm still fun and funky, but I'm just going to have a slightly different tone than on Facebook. And let's say I put it on Instagram. Now, on Instagram, as most people probably know, it's all about the visual. And you can't say click the link because you can't add a link. All you can say is link in bio, and then you have to update the link in your bio to that particular blog post, let's say. So I would definitely say that. Say click the link and remember to click the link in the bio for the full blog, but I would give them some tips. If I did 10 tips on how to stand out on social media, I would actually, like in the text, like in the typing on Instagram and my posts, I would put in there actually 2 to 3 tips. I wouldn't just say, hey, check out my latest blog post where you're going to learn 10 tips. I would actually feed them 2 or 3 of the tips and then say link in the bio, click the link in the bio for the other 7 tips. Yeah. So I would put the same content across wherever I am, but I would do it in the way that is, the right culture for that particular platform.
Absolutely. And I think you hit the nail on the head there, Natalie, by saying that you don't change your personality or your branding in any way. So it's not moving from being one person to a completely different voice on another platform. It really is about still having the same voice, just tweaking it a little bit, but still keeping your personality, still keeping your brand. And that's so important. Jem, how about you? What would you like to add to that?
Well, it's the same, but a little different. Because the way I look at the social networks is I have sort of like an objective. So I agree with Natalie that when you go to LinkedIn and when I post stuff, I don't go, hello, here, fireworks and stuff. Could be, not unless that is actually the brand that you'd like to project. So it still sounds professional, but yet your personality's there. But say, for example, in Instagram, it's really more personal posts. So it's another window of Jamayer, so to speak, because on Facebook and the rest of the social networks, I tend to be a little, I don't want to say calculated, but every post I put on the internet, I think you ladies understand that, you've got to be, it's either market. Yeah. Just be ready for everything, whatever people react, right? So it's mostly business, because 99%
on your business page.
Well, no, more on my account, really, because 99% of my contacts on Facebook, to be honest, is really mostly business. And of course, friends now. Yeah. Personal page, yes. So I guess the whole point is I've got that little objective. So if it's Instagram, it's really mostly food because I love food when I go around. Little events here and there. LinkedIn is obviously stuff that I've done. Facebook is a mix of my personal plus, obviously, marketing stuff and what I'm doing. So, okay, in a nutshell, not to confuse everyone, but it's really based on the objective of what content I want to post on that social network, if that makes any sense. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. So, Jem, I find it interesting because you're going on Instagram like you do a lot of foodies. Food photos. But how does that kind of relate back to your business? Or is that your personal Instagram that you're talking about? Like it's personal. But with your business, you'd be doing something a bit differently, wouldn't you?
Yes. That is actually more of my blogging side. Because, I'm a little bit of a foodie. I'm Filipino, guys, by the way, FYI. So we always love food. So, yes, it's not, if you think about it, it's not really related of me being into social media, but it is more related on blogging. So it's really reaching out to people and saying, look, I love these restaurants and stuff. Because I used to blog in, it's called Philippine Customer Service, but it's all about the restaurant establishments and service. So it's just like a little extension. Yeah. So it indirectly markets what I can do, but not necessarily social media, if that makes any sense on the professional side. Yeah.
And just to jump in on that, like I will occasionally do a foodie post, but it'll be a picture of my new Nutra Ninja that I just bought. And I'll do something about, check out what I'm having this morning. I'm trying to remember to take more me time and rather than rushing around working on my business all the time. So it'll come back to business because I don't just do social media. Of course, with my women in my mastermind group, we're always talking about how can you actually, and I call it hashtag juggling the mother load, how can you actually look after yourself and your kids and your business. So I talk about those type of topics as well, but it totally relates to my business. It's not me going crazy posting foodie pics because that's like, I'm not really about that. But if I can weave it in and it relates to my business, I'll definitely do so the occasional foodie type pic.
Hey, let's talk about scheduling posting because a lot of people, when I'm dealing with clients, they go, well, it's really hard. It takes up a lot of your time. Social media is quite a time waster for people. And they're going, well, how do I do this? How do I post every single day? Do I need to post every single day? And so let's talk about scheduling. What do you guys think of that?
Natalie?
I've played around. I've played around with a couple of tools. I've tried Meet Edgar. I actually have Hootsuite. I've got Buffer. You know what? I really don't use them. Like I have Hootsuite, and I do have a virtual assistant actually in the Philippines, and she does some posting for me. She uses Hootsuite. Honestly, I don't even use it. Like I pay for it. I don't even use it. Some of it's free, and the one I've got is paid for. But because I'm in the moment, I'm in the zone. And, remember how social media started out? It's actually what you're doing now. Like that's how it started. And then people started scheduling out like a week in advance. So for me, if I'm going on holiday and I want to unplug, of course, I'll schedule a couple posts. Mm-hmm. Or if I see something awesome and I want to share it, but I just posted something, I'll buffer it. So it gets spat out like tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. or whatever. But for me, I personally do not schedule 2 weeks out and just have them spitting them out. I do it. I mean, I have a plan and a strategy, but I do it in the moment rather than on the fly, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I kind of do a hybrid. So I do schedule. But I think like Natalie, you technically do schedule because your virtual assistant does it for you, right?
Yeah. So she does. She'll schedule some stuff. Look, that's right. I'll say to her each week, can you do this, that, and the other, and she'll schedule them.
Yeah, so it's the same kind of thing. And I do pretty much the same where I do schedule out, but I also do everything in the moment. So I know that if, for example, I have a really busy day and I'm in training the whole day, I am not stressed about a post going out. But of course, in the training, we get to take photos, have conversations about what we're talking about in social, and pop those up anyway, because of the fantastic apps that we have on social media. So everything is an app that you can use. Pages for Facebook, you've got your Instagram app, you've got your LinkedIn app, you've got your Pulse app, you've got so many apps that you can go into and use. And of course, you do have your buffer apps and things like that. Jam is actually a Hootsuite ambassador here in New Zealand, but I have to say I have used Hootsuite and I kind of do a little bit. I love Buffer. And I love the paid Buffer. So I pay $10 a month, and it gives me. I love Buffer because it's one of the few at the moment that still do it really well on Instagram.
Yeah,
Jam. Yeah.
Of course, as expected, I have to kind of go for Hootsuite, but I love Hootsuite only because it's not just for scheduling. I mean, it is, as they say, it is. Not a social media management software anymore. It's actually social relationship software. But I'm not going to talk about Hootsuite, not unless people ask about it. But I'm the same as Juanita. I'm because I guess the way my lifestyle's like, it's really a mix. So it is a hybrid. Mm-hmm. Say, for example, all of a sudden I remember, oh man, I've got a bloggers meetup and stuff. And I talked to Juanita and Natalie and so I need to tweet something. But there are some scheduled. I think the scheduling is coming from when I curate content. That's where the scheduling comes in. Or let's say if I do blog and at least it's already connected to Hootsuite, so I know in my mind it's going to go out there anyway. Yeah. But yeah, so for the in the moment, like what Natalie does and stuff, training, or if I start talking to people, then it's on the go. So yeah.
Oh, we've got Miss Bernie Benjamin. Hey, if anybody wants to jump into the extra seat and ask questions or give us some of your advice, go for it. Like jump into the seat and join us lovely ladies from New Zealand. Like this is so cool because like Natalie spent most of her life in Canada. Jam is from the Philippines. I was born in South Africa. I've been in New Zealand for 10 years. And we are talking about content for your digital and social marketing. So that's what we're talking about. Cool.
Hey, can we also mention some cool tools and apps, because you just mentioned a few apps before, but be cool to mention some of those too.
Well, let's go, Nats. Mention them.
Oh, you know what? There's a good question. That's a pretty easy topic, guys. Come in and tell us one of your favorite apps or tools that you've discovered recently. How does that sound?
And let's keep it apps and tools specifically for content for your digital and social. So let's keep the blab, that it doesn't go out of hand and we start talking about everything social, because the blab is about content for your digital and social media. So how about jumping in and telling us some of the apps that you're using to manage your content digital or do something with your content digital? Like, for example, Canva. So, Canva to help you to design posts.
Yeah,
really,
and
really
on
fantastic.
that topic, two that I've discovered recently. Well, one I've been doing for ages. One's recent. So WordSwag I've been doing for a while. I love that. I always, if you go to my Instagram right now, I think it's GoToGirlNZ on Instagram or Natalie Cutler Welsh. I was just walking down by the basin, and you'll see a photo I took. And it's super easy to just put really gorgeous text on top of an image. And make it look real funky. So that's WordSwag. And then the one I recently discovered is called Image Chef. And you've seen it around, I'm sure. It's when you can put text. It's got a scene of a beach, and it's got the wave, coming in. And on the sand, you can write something. Or in the coffee cup, in the foam of the latte, you can write something. That's called Image Chef. Nice. So those are pretty cool.
Yeah, so Joy says WordSwag there, and I've got Miss Bernie Benjamin. Do you want to jump in to one of these? No, you said you weren't set up at the moment, but she says Medium is a platform that she uses. I haven't heard of it.
For blogging, I believe that's the blogging platform.
It's not a social media platform, or is it?
Well, the Medium that I know is a blogging platform, and a lot of people have been using it. So it's similar. Yep. Medium.com, that is a blogging platform. I do use it. I haven't. There's so many blogging platforms out there. So you've got your own, and then you've got LinkedIn and Medium and all that. And Facebook, by the way, just announced that they just upgraded Notes. So yeah, anyway, but yeah, Medium is a blogging platform. It's pretty good, actually. Yeah.
Herson has asked, have we seen the new Facebook Note layout? Yeah. You've seen it? Yeah. It's kind of turned more into a blog type of a layout than is pretty much what it looks like they're going for on Facebook. I haven't used it, but I have seen it.
Yes, it is.
Using it?
Well, I haven't used it myself. I just saw it last night, actually. Or was it this morning? Yeah.
Yes, it's like a micro blogging kind of a layout. Yes. Yeah.
Another tool that's okay, this isn't really content. Well, it kind of is. Okay, so for content, before I mentioned WordSwag, Image Chef, the way that you'd use that related to content is you could put some tips on using WordSwag on the actual image, and then it's like for more tips, link in bio. And another one, of course, is Periscope and Blab. I mean, perfect way to create content super quick and easy. I mean, I've got a podcast. I'm coming up to recording this week. I'm putting out my episode number 95, but that's a ton of work to do a podcast. So if you're interested in sharing your goodness and upping your credibility and growing your audience, doing a Periscope or doing a Blab like this is an amazing, quick and easy way to do it. And you're creating content. And then if you get the catch.me, so catch.me app, that will allow you to retain that content rather than, I know for Periscope, at least it's only up for 24 hours. So, there's some amazing stuff you can do right now to create really quick and easy visual content, video content, without spending tons of time and energy doing it.
Absolutely. Absolutely agree with you. Hey, listen, Hersnan, I hope I'm saying it right. He's asked, has any of us heard of Dragon Nuance? I haven't.
No, I haven't.
No.
Do you want to jump into the seat and come and tell us more about it? It'd be really, really cool. There we go. Oh, Marcus is jumping in. There we go. So hi, Marcus. Here we go.
Speech to text program. Right. Yep.
Oh, Dragon. Yes, of course. Yes. You put the nuance behind it. We just know it as Dragon. So we use Dragon. Yeah, absolutely. Speech to text.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I'm just waiting for Marcus to come in here and he's going to... Okay, so you run it after you run Blabs and Periscope and it auto types it up for you. Yeah, great. That's a great idea. We kind of did that with the YouTube videos as well. If you pop them up, sometimes you can, hit the link and it puts the whole script for you, but sometimes it doesn't. So we do that. So what are some content marketing habits for success? This is a great question. So ladies, content marketing habits for success.
Well, the number one that comes to mind for me is going to be consistency. I know you've heard it before. I know it's not new. It's consistency is key. Okay, we got that. Consistency is king, which means you need to be regular. So, for example, when I first started blogging about my parenting blog, which is called If Only They Told Me, we were doing 3 a week. So this was for my co-authored book. So there were 2 of us, which was good. 3 a week was fine. And after a while, it became quite onerous, like 3 a week for us. And, she was working full time and I had 3 kids and all that. So then we changed it. But I guess it's like with your blogging, set your intention that something that is achievable. Mm-hmm. So once a month is really not frequent enough. But 1 a week, I think, is fine if that's all you can handle. What do you think, Jam?
That's why I kind of reacted. It's like, oh man, that's number 1. So, and I totally agree with Natalie. It is consistency. That's one thing I can say. I guess for me, it's relevance to, let's say, what you're doing, and when when you put content there, whether you're a brand or a small business or you're marketing yourself as an individual. Yes, there's a consistency, but also the relevance. So if you were here earlier, we were talking about, why am I posting foodie photos, for example, on Instagram? Is that actually relevant to what I'm trying to portray as Jam, right? And it is. So don't just randomly, I'm not saying it's not allowed, but I'm just saying if you want people to know who you are, what you're all about and stuff, then yes, with being consistent and being relevant, stuff, don't just randomly, I don't know. I'm thinking of what if all of a sudden I post something about a cow or agriculture, which is it's nothing to do with me. That's kind of off. So don't do it just for being viral, as they say.
Yeah. So content marketing habits for me, I always like to go to strategy first, and I kind of like to look at things from planning out your content. So I know we do things in the moment, and that's fabulous. I think you should be doing things in the moment, but I think that you also need to have a content strategy and know when you're going to be running campaigns, know when you're going to be running competitions, know when you're going to be doing things, and plan backwards so that you are putting posts out on the relevant platforms at the right time. The other thing for me about content is being authentic. And I think Blab, I really love Blab. I was so nervous about it in the beginning because it is so real. It's so in the moment. It's so live. Periscope, you can still have your phone and, you can still be periscoping everything around you and not letting anybody see you. But this here is like so raw and real. This is the closest you get to somebody seeing them, watching their habits, watching the way they talk, watching what they do. And
seeing what's in the background.
Yeah, like the whole world,
I don't have branding. I have my
You get a white screen. You can write whatever you want on that. Use the WordSwag app.
Natalie and I are sitting in our offices. So we've got little offices at home as well. So we're sitting in there. We always those are up like consistently, at the back. And it just is one of those things. But important, like be true to yourself, be authentic. That for me, from a content point of view, is really important. And the reason why I say that is because, people go, oh, you shouldn't do this on social, you shouldn't do that. But there are a lot of people out there that swear on social. And that's the way they've branded themselves. And that's the audience that they attract. And that's the way that they do it. And that's okay. I mean, it's what they do. It's their branding. They're true. They're authentic. They're themselves, So be authentic. There's nobody like you.
And I think it's really a combination. I love that we all agree in mentioning consistency, relevancy, authenticity, but also I think as a blogger or when you're writing content, you need to make sure it's a nice balance of give, get. One of my favorite catchphrases, meaning you're being helpful and friendly and relevant and giving good stuff that is relevant to your ideal client. But you're also, when it's appropriate, inviting them to work with you or inviting them to take some sort of call to action. Ooh, we've got someone on the line.
Well, now I want to tell you the lady that's coming on, and I hope I can get her in here because for some reason Blab seems to not be wanting to allow people into the room. It's taking its time. But Pauline Stockhausen, is also a social media expert here in New Zealand and works in the Orewa Rodney area. So she's amazing. And if we can get her on, that would be fabulous. So we got 4 New Zealand divas on the line. Woohoo!
Is she a real Kiwi? Not like the rest of us?
We'll have to ask her when she gets up there. We'll have to ask her. But I'm hoping that does work, because for some reason, as I said, it's really struggling over here with pulling people through. So let me, Pauline, give it another go. I'm gonna take you out. Give it another go. Oh, I don't want to kick you.
So ladies, how can I follow the people that are coming on and watching? Hi, everybody. Thank you for taking time out of your day. How do I actually go and follow them? Can I hover on them and follow, just like on Periscope?
Yeah. So you can click on the name on the side and it'll open up their profile, and you can follow them both on Blab and on Twitter. So, and what I kind of do, whenever I've done a Blab, I kind of go to everyone that's been on here and I go and follow, and I go and follow you on Twitter as well. So please follow us too. Like, come and join us, follow us, and not Natalie. It's Natalie's second time on Blab.
Yeah, I've done like I don't know, 10 Periscopes, and I've got them now up, most of them, not all of them, up on YouTube.
Yeah. Okay, so ladies, let's talk about. Okay, so Hernson is saying if we can't get people in within the 10 seconds, it won't allow them to. Yeah, I think it does have a lot to do with the upload-download speeds. Understand that. So, let's give it another go. So here we go.
Is she out and about, or is she actually at a computer? Like, is she on the phone?
Oh, there you go.
Hey, Pauline, welcome. Can't hear you. Can you guys hear her?
Not yet. I was trying to,
So give her a minute. She can't hear her. But while we're getting her to find her voice, Jem, can you hear her?
Nope. I can see her.
Okay, so we've got a question here, and the question is, speaking of branding, what are some powerful branding techniques each of you have used on social media? So go for it, ladies. What are some powerful branding techniques each of you have used in social media? So, like for me, I'll start, ladies, and then you can jump in. So for me, like,
I followed everybody. Okay, we're good.
There we go. So powerful branding techniques for me is, you're having your branding consistent across all your social media channels, using consistent, your logo consistently, whatever you're using, be consistent across all your channels from a branding perspective. Your voice, be consistent. Again, be authentic with your voice. So whatever content you're putting up, like, be you and make sure that it's your voice that's coming out. From a branding perspective, obviously, we talk logos, colors, all sorts of kind of things. It's all consistency. So you'll see behind Natalie, she's got her Go-To Girl banner. It's all pink, and she's in the pink side. And when you see Natalie, she's probably wearing pink. So she brands herself both on and off. Just because I'm wearing blue doesn't mean that that's true for me. I wear all colors. I'm a color girl. I
wear green
colors
as well.
Yeah. But my yellow and blue was chosen very specifically. So yellow is for, or it's kind of like a golden yellow. And the golden yellow for me is, it's supposed to be magic and creativity and freedom. And the blue is supposed to be stability and trust and integrity. So those were kind of the colors that. Okay, so Pauline, no, still not. Have a look at Hernson. He's put a little thing in the chat bar, and he says just have a look at it, and it'll help you. Thank you.
Thank you, Boomy, for her comment as well. She said that positive images are so important, and color plays a big part in that. It touches that emotional end.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'll just add something in there about, I totally agree, consistency. And for me, what took me a long time was to actually invest, like put money into good photography and actually pay a graphic designer instead of trying to do everything myself on Canva. I still play around on Canva, but it's not my area of genius. So I've got the consistency almost now, but I definitely have good images, and that has helped my business a lot. The other thing that I'd recommend people to do is to go back to your existing clients, your raving fans, and ask them, what are 3 adjectives that you would use to describe me? Or what are 3 adjectives that you would use to describe working with me, or the results that you got from working with me, or some sort of question around that. So you're asking them specifically for 3 adjectives. And then those words that come back to you, first of all, it's an amazing ego boost activity to do. And secondly, then you collate them and you see the words that keep popping up time and time again. And you use those words back in your copy. So when you're doing a sales page, or you're telling a story, or doing a sales pitch or whatever, then you can use those words back, because that's the reason why people love working with you.
Hey, you know what? That is such a great idea. Jen, before you go on, I have to welcome Michael Stelzner. Michael, you from the Social Media Examiner, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. And yeah, if you're getting up and you want to jump into my chair, come and jump in. We're talking about content, and that's really, really cool.
Okay, so if I may, so in terms of branding, so we're talking about branding, like totally agree with all you ladies. One thing, I guess, my tip is when it comes to showing your brand, pick a medium. So say, for example, that's why in terms of bloggers, some people are more comfortable doing the written word. Some are photos, or it could be videos. So pick a medium that would then be relevant again and what you're comfortable with when it comes to branding. So yes, all the colors, consistency, and great. So say, if people would follow me because they like the way I write, or the tone of my voice, or whatever it is, then that's how you get the followers. That's how people will know you. And as they say, brand recall, right? Yeah. So that's just my little tip for you guys. Choose your medium, and whatever it is, of course, as Natalie said, stick to it, and you have all those colors and stuff. So yeah.
And then the other thing on that, Jam, is if, like, let's say your medium is presenting. Like, I love talking on stage. I love talking on camera. I blog, I write, I've written a book, but if I can then pay my virtual assistant to take the show notes, like she'll listen to my podcast, she'll write it up, and then I'll go and zhuzh it, but she'll do the image. So I still get to have the range of content. So I've got people in my audience that they don't love watching video. They'd rather read, and vice versa. So I can cater to everybody, but I'm still staying in my area of genius, but I'm still covering all bases.
I am. So coming back to content, and especially when you're writing blogs, I particularly love to use the NLP approach. So from the communications perspective. So thinking about visuals, kinesthetics, and auditory. And whenever I'm writing, I kind of take all of those perspectives into account. So what I'll do is I might start off, and I'm jumping to blogging now a little bit, because now we're going into the digital side of things. But and this obviously works in social as well on your platforms. But what I do is I'll start out with a little story to get the kinesthetics. Give people 5 points. So these are the 5 points on how to solve that. Do bullet points. Those are the auditories. Highlight words across the highlight headings and things like that to grab your auditories. Give a little bit more of an explanation for your visuals. Put photos up, put videos up if you can. So vlogging is really fantastic. And you kind of grab every single audience when you blog then. And because it's like, how long should a blog be? And I often hear people going, yeah, short blogs are really good. And I think short blogs are fantastic for people that are auditory. They'd probably be saying, just give me some short blogs. I just want to be really quick. But visuals like to read. They like to see. Kinesthetics want to have that feeling, that emotion. So I think, your blogs can be as long as short as you want them to be. Right now, though, Google ranks for blogs that are 1,500 words or more, interestingly enough.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot, yeah.
Juanita, I loved how you mentioned about having that template, you know, that how you were like, okay, I start off with a story and then we break it into bullet points. And I think for people, somebody earlier was asking, what are the keys to success with content creation? And if you have a template like that for yourself, it actually makes creating the content easier. And then for the reader, they get that consistency of they know where to look.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I do like to mix it up a bit, Natalie. I mean, for me, it's not just about starting with a story. You might start with something else. You know, as long as you're catching all the different kinds of elements in the blogging for your particular audience, that's really, really important. So, Jem, you do quite a bit of blogging. Tell us a little bit about what do you do? Like, what are your tips?
And how many words?
Oh my goodness. I will just base it on I'll say past experience, because I'll be honest and, you know, to everyone there, it's been a while since I've blogged, and I blame work. So, but just a few tips on blogging itself. I mean, I've already said it in terms of, you know, the medium, you picking the right medium that you're comfortable with and will resonate to your readers and stuff. If it's a written word, I was so used to blogging probably 300 to 500 words. And there's a lot of statistics out there that the shareable type of content or articles would be even 800, 1,000, even 2,000 words. I honestly cannot do that, maybe because I really need time to sit down and write stuff. But that's who I am. That's how I'm like. So, and I think we can hear Pauline already. So that's just one. So just normal tips. I mean, what did I say? The medium, Natalie just mentioned how many words, but that's about it. I still think there are a lot of people just scanning through articles at the moment. I am trying to move to images and just trying to experiment on video, which is like this.
Hey, just a quick thing, Pauline, have a look in the chat bar, because Herson has said, have you looked at his gift to help you? We cannot hear you.
You could unplug the earbuds from the computer and try that.
Yeah.
Okay, so she says yes, she did, and it's changed and it's all done. Now, look, there are bugs in Blab sometimes. It happens, and it does happen because, remember, we're still in beta phase with Blab, and I believe that they're going to be testing Blab for at least 2 years before they really bring it live, and they'll be listening to all the information that we're giving them. So we need to give feedback.
It would be great to see if anyone else can hop in, because I'm not sure if it's from our end on the management side or if it actually was Pauline. It might not even be her.
Yeah. So guys, anybody else that wants to jump in, if you just want to jump in so that we can test it to see whether it's us or whether it's the actual Blab or, what it is, that would be really cool.
And along the lines of asking somebody to jump in, I was going to say getting guest bloggers is another way to create content because it's about you, but it's not only about you. So even from when I started 3.5 years ago, when I started GoToGirl, I invited people to come and guest blog for me. So that's another way people can get that content. Jim.
Right. We've got Jim jumping in.
Jim.
Let's see if this works. Let's see if it works.
I think there you go. Hello. I can't hear him.
So it's something to do with that little box over there. Now, you know what? I'll
Can you manage participants? Because maybe you've only unmuted like the three of us.
No. It doesn't work like that. So everybody comes in, everybody can talk. You can't manage people and mute and unmute people. Mm-hmm. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to, there we go. So here we go. So Herson says he's going to jump in and let's see if he can sort this out.
Good idea.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, there, Michael. Yay!
It's probably just our
Play
audio
the guitar.
So tell us what you've done. Tell us why this is.
It's a Manycam. Oh,
yeah, I'm using Manycam right now, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome too.
Are the other two people, Pauline and I didn't catch his name, are they using Manycam? I don't know if they want to type
Michael.
Jim.
Yeah.
Jim.
No, I'm not.
Was it Jim?
Jim.
Did you already go to the setting, Pauline? Right here, the microphone? And click the drop down? Yeah, okay. did you restart the entire web browser? Sometimes that happens. Just close out the entire web browser and just bring up the web browser. That'd work. Damn. Okay. The only thing that I know that solves it is just restarting the computer, but I'm not sure if you want to do that. Just because I know some microphones require like a reboot for like the microphone settings to actually take place, but I don't know if you want to reboot your entire computer because it's kind of a task. I'm not sure about the other guy. I'll just text 9,000. I was on my Yeti earlier. What you could do real quick, Pauline, is maybe go start a blab or jump in someone else's blab and see if the audio works. And if not, then I don't know, maybe a way to troubleshoot it or something.
Maybe then do the shutdown and restart, Pauline. That'd be good. Michael, you are so awesome. Thank you very much. Well, while we've got you on here and we're talking about content for digital and social, share some of your tips with us. So what do you do?
I'm actually the person who creates content for my clients. So I guess I'm like I guess the title is creative director, but I've been focusing a lot more on video editing and creating video campaigns to promote on ads. We just found them to be for Facebook ads, it's a lot cheaper to run a video ad than running like a stock image ad. And I can create it in a way that's kind of more creative and eye captivating. And I use like clickbait titles on it, so people are more likely to click it and go to it and stuff. But I've been focusing more on that, and I've made some stuff for people on here, like little ad campaigns and stuff. Here, I'll drop a little GIF real quick if you guys want to see. I made it into a GIF. It was a video, but I made it into a GIF so people could see.
Yeah, please go for it. Drop it in there. That's awesome. What do you think of? I love video advertising on Facebook. I think it's fantastic. What do you think of the carousel ads? Have you tried those?
We tried them, but we didn't find as much success as we did with just the straight video ads. And we've been running it on Instagram too, so we had access to Instagram ads. Yeah. And we've done the carousel ones, and those ones performed a little bit better. But we kind of realized that they performed better because it was new and people were just trying it out. So they really care. They were just kind of like, oh my God, you could do this. And still then the video ads still kind of performed better because I try to create things that are a little bit more eye-catchy. It doesn't really necessarily matter. I mean, the content obviously matters, but usually the first initial reason why they click it or touch it is like, oh, what is this? Why is it so active? And so
is there an ideal length for the video, Michael? For an ad for Facebook?
For Facebook, we do 15 seconds. We try not to go any longer. We have some success. But sorry.
Is that one of them on the side there that you put into the bar into the chat bar?
Yeah, that was an Instagram ad that we ran. It has audio, obviously, but the GIF can't have audio. But that was one that we ran, and then at the end, when you clicked it, it actually went to their Instagram page, which wasn't a lot, but I think we spent like $100 on the Instagram ad, and they gained like 2,000 new followers in like 24 hours. So awesome. It was a pretty good amount just for running a $100 ad, which I mean, $100 is a lot, but at least 2,000 people are 100% interested in directly what they saw versus like I have clients who still print flyers, and I'm like, well, you paid $100 and you got 5,000 flyers, but you just blindly pass them out. You don't even know like where they heard from, stuff like that. But they took out the avatars, the GIF, but they didn't take out the GIF ability in the comments. I don't know if they're going to do that, but they said they're just taking out the avatar, the animated avatars. I had an animated avatar, and I was a little bit bummed out when they took it out, but I understand.
I tell you what, if somebody's got a one of those problems where everything's flashing all the time, it can be quite distracting. Because I watch some of the, and your eyes are going with the avatar.
Yeah, like I've been in the blabs where people are just posting funny GIFs nonstop, which I mean, I think it depends on the blab. Like I've entered a room where it's really lighthearted and people are just like, oh, it's funny. But I've been in more serious blabs, like about theology. Yeah. And I see those and it's kind of like a little distracting where I'm like, oh, what does that say? And you kind of lose your train of thought. But I think it just kind of depends on the blab.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
I was going to ask, what do you guys use to track your social analytics? Do you have anything in particular?
It depends. Well, I use Hootsuite, obviously, when it comes to the articles that I curate and stuff. Again, disclaimer for those who just joined in. I am one of the ambassadors here in New Zealand. But having said that, I do. Okay, I'm kind of distracted now. I hear like feedback kind of. I hope I don't sound that way.
No, you sound fine, but it sounded like
It stopped now.
It's
I thought it was like some demon that had jumped into
I
our
know.
lap.
Is it my end? My audio?
No, it's not yours. Not yours.
Oh, okay.
It sounds like somebody, like another audio that's kind of filtered in from somewhere else. But you know, when it's all like it's underwater and
Yeah.
like in
It's
one of
fine
those
now, Jam.
haunted places.
Sorry, Natalie. What?
It's fine. It's sweet as now.
Okay, cool. I was just a little distracted. Anyway, see now I don't remember. Oh, analytics. So I use Hootsuite. I do use say if it's Pinterest, I still use the inherent short answers. I still use the inherent analytic tools on each social network. And then I create sort of a little dashboard on my own. I know it's kind of manual, but I do check most of them there. And Hootsuite actually is great when it comes to reporting. It does have most of the social networks there. The only thing is, obviously, you have to kind of pay because there's credits there if you want more than what the templates have to offer. But yeah, Hootsuite is my main thing. And then the inherent like insights, of course, Pinterest for business analytics, and Twitter. I do use Twitter, I still go back to Hootsuite even. So, yeah.
I used to use a lot of different ones, and I ran across this one recently. I don't know if I'll put the link here. I don't really share it too often because I really
Simply
like it.
Measured. Yeah.
Yeah. Have you guys used the free tools of it without the paid one? For the free tools, it gives you a crazy amount of data for just the free version. I mean, obviously, if you sign up, you get a lot more. But yeah, I noticed a lot of people don't know about that. But I guess you ladies do, so that's nice.
No, that's cool. We'll add it to the list of cool and recommended apps and tools.
I mean,
use that one.
And
right.
I was going to
Sorry,
say,
go ahead.
And then, of course, we not to forget things like Google Analytics. So, you know, measuring what's happening through your website and your blogs and things like that. Really, really cool. And measuring, obviously, from Facebook adverts with, you know, your pixels going into your website, etc. You've gone, Michael.
Oh, I wanted to hear about Iconosquare, but that's cool. So other people can probably see it in the comments. Iconosquare.
Iconosquare is great for Instagram. It's really for Instagram. You should try it out. Yeah. So I kind of when it comes to Iconosquare, I've tried and dabbled with it. And it is probably one of the most widely used analytics. Yeah.
I promise I didn't kick you out by accident. I promise I didn't touch anything.
Yeah, I was just thinking, I was like, I didn't do anything.
No, I didn't. I promise my hands were
No,
in
that's
my lap.
okay. No worries. It happens. I've done that many times where I just accidentally click something because I have multiple monitors.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I'll click where I think a mouse is, and I'm like booting everybody out of the room, and I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. Or I'll just like refresh the wrong screen, and I'm out of blab. And I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I use Iconosquare for Instagram. I really like it a lot. You said, is your name Jam, I think? I'm sorry, I don't want to.
Yeah, like strawberry jam.
Okay, yeah, I
Everybody
didn't
thinks
wanna
it's Jan.
Well, because some people have their names of their companies, so I'll refer to them as like Biscuit and Tea or something, and they're like, oh, my name's Christine, and I'm like, oh, okay, I didn't know because your name and stuff. But yeah, I use Iconosquare a lot for Instagram because a lot of my clients are pretty heavy on Instagram. But if you haven't used it, you could like actually, if you look at my screen, you could actually like on the actual browser itself, and you can actually comment within it, and then you can use like emojis and stuff. So sometimes if I'm like managing an account or looking at it, it's pretty quick to just write back and respond. And even if you go like to manage, you can see like all the comments that you haven't responded to, and then you can go to like analytics and statistics and stuff like that. So if you do use Instagram a lot, I would recommend Iconosquare.
Yeah.
Cool. So
That's cool. So it looks like, I mean, you in terms of content, coming back to the content, you can hire someone to create content for you, which, you know, a lot of people do. And if they have the budget, or like I mentioned before, you can get people to guest blog for you, or you can interview people on Blab, you know, to create some great content as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think guest blogging is absolutely fantastic. Also, we can talk about repurposing content. So right now we're doing this Blab, And so what can we do with this? Like, what can we do with this blab to repurpose this content? And certainly, I mean, this has been recorded, so we can take this recording. We could probably chop it up a little bit if we needed to and put it onto a blog. We could probably put the whole thing out just to our clients in a newsletter. We could probably pop it onto Vimeo or YouTube and just have some of the links and things. So there's so much that you can do with repurposing of content. It's really, really important to do that. It's really fantastic to do it as well. Ladies, your view on repurposing, Michael, your view on repurposing content, because you do quite a lot for your clients.
Yeah, we generally, the way that I've been doing it for a few clients from Blab, which is funny because it's like people that I met on Blab, we've recorded it, obviously, like how we're doing right now on the record. And then we ran the program, or I ran the program, Dragon Nuance, which I was saying earlier. It just basically picks up the speech, types it out for you. So if there's like a good point, we'll just like, obviously go from 1 minute to 2 minutes, auto type it up. If you have the budget, we send it to someone on Fiverr that we've been working for, and they'll just rewrite everything for us and make it more like elegant or easier to understand and just shorten it down. But one thing that we've been doing is that we've been running ad campaigns with the Blabs, but we've taken 15 seconds. So like, let's say, for example, Jam said something and Natalie's like, oh my God, that's so amazing. This is why I love Blab. We've taken like a little highlight reel almost and just ran ad campaigns for that. But we haven't said what it was. And at the end, we said, like, if you want to do a live Q&A of, say, social media, hop on. Or we ran YouTube ads doing the same thing. And we've had phenomenal success because we've tested it with like a new Blab account that has no following, nothing like that. And now I think just from the ad campaigns, we had like 500 people subscribed to the Blab ready to watch it. And it was just like, that person doesn't exist. Like, we just made a fake account just to see it, like, truly test it without like any kind of like influence at all. So that's what kind of we've been doing with repurposing it, and then just creating like blog articles and just injecting the little 5, 10, 15 second videos into it. And then we've added like post edit stuff, like little animated intro logos coming in and little background music, stuff that you have to do outside of Blab recording, obviously. But that's how we've been currently repurposing it.
Hey,
and
Mike.
then yeah, go.
Oh, sorry, Michael, I was going to say to you, where are you advertising it? Like, which platforms are you advertising on? Are you doing all of them?
Yeah, we did it on all of them. We did it on Twitter because now Twitter has the video, the little video thing that pops up, so you can like actually. Have you guys seen that yet on the Twitter? There's like videos now where if you scroll down, it still stays stuck like a YouTube.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've been doing it on Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. And we kind of found that Instagram had the most success, which we didn't really think that would be true. But I think because the whole ad campaign video is still relatively new, and you're seeing.
And then on Instagram, do you just say link in bio?
Yeah. We just put the link in the bio, and then we just put like a really small caption that just says something total clickbait, like Natalie was surprised that she gained 10 new clients from watching this, or something like kind of clickbait. That wasn't a really good one, but we just kind of make it like a little clickbaity, and then when they click it, they went to either a splash page. We did it for two. One was a splash page. Another one went directly to the Blab subscribe. The splash page, we kind of hijacked Blab's coding, and we made our website look like Blab. And the subscribe button, we actually put it in an iframe. And then below that, we put a little video just explaining what Blab was in 30 seconds. Just when people landed, they're like, whoa, what does subscribe mean? What's happening? We had like a little video that we were like pointing up and like, oh, if you click up here, you can subscribe to the Blab in 24 hours. That was one thing too. It was a short test because we try to make it within a 12 to 24 hour period in which the actual video is going to happen, the Q&A, not like 2 weeks from now. Because I've done webinars or joined webinars, and it's like 2 weeks from now, we're going to do a webinar where I was like, oh, wow, I'm going to completely forget about that in like an hour or so.
Hey, Michael, people are asking, where can they see it? Like, where can they see your adverts? Do you want to pop a link in there?
I would show you, but the two people that I'm using with Blab, they asked me to not show, and they actually asked me to sign an NDA.
Oh, okay.
But I am creating one actually right now on my other screen, because I was thinking of not necessarily selling it, but kind of showing it to you people and saying like, oh, hey, here's like the whole setup and everything like that. We built it on WordPress, so I'm making it a theme, so people can just maybe actually like download the WordPress template for free, and then you guys can just activate it, and then in the like actual WordPress, I'll just have it say like, grab this code from Blab, put it here. So it's like super easy. We created this other website. I'll show you guys real quick. I need to generate a link real quick that we were using for Periscope, or our idea was for Periscope, but we're kind of using it now for Blab more so. I'll show you real quick though.
Hey, while he's looking, I'll just answer a question that's come in with, thanks, Boomy. She's asking, what is the advantage in integrating repurposing into your content marketing strategy? I mean, I guess the number one thing would be like, well, I was going to say time saving, but I think it does take time to actually repurpose. But if you're going to take the time to do a blab and put great content in there, great ideas and tips and tools for your people, then it's worth, getting more mileage out of that by repurposing it. And even like Juanita said, even if it's in an email to your database, you can put the link through to YouTube if you want more YouTube subscribers, or you can embed it in a blog and bring them back to your blog to watch it if you want more traffic to your blog.
One thing that I didn't mention is that we did put pixels on everything. So for us, it wasn't even so much about like getting people to it. It was just collecting an actual little database of everything. So when we do start to promote ads, and we've kind of combined them all into like a Periscope, Meerkat, and Blab list. So we know that like people on Periscope are more likely to be interested in stuff in Meerkat and Blab. So we're just kind of combining them all. We still have separate, but we're trying to combine it all into one massive list. So then when we do red ad campaigns, we can just bombard it with them. But like, we're not spammy, but we just know like, okay, we have
just bombarding.
Yeah. I always use that word. And people think like, oh my God, you're going to spam. I'm like, no, maybe it's a bad adjective.
Yeah, just to add, repurposing the advantages, because when you do obviously repurpose a portion of your content to different platforms, I mean, for example, just a little bit different. I mean, put some content of this, what we're talking about, into SlideShare. What it does for me is that I now begin to understand who my audience is in that platform, for example. So obviously when it's Instagram, and sometimes what happens is, I didn't know that people were actually interested in this type of content here. And I'm not talking about the medium, whether it's Instagram, so it's photos and videos. What I'm talking about is really, okay, one thing we would talk about is say analytics and stuff. Oh, maybe I should repurpose that and put it in another social network and see how the audience is reacting. So I'm kind of half and half. I love analytics. So I'd like to see those things. So at least that's one big thing for me. That's one advantage. I hope that makes sense.
One thing that I did want to say earlier, and I kind of want to go back, and I think, I don't know if you guys mentioned it, this was like 30 minutes ago. We're talking about content for your clients. One thing that I try to remind my clients often, and even myself, is you can create a lot of content, but the point should be, does it work, and do people identify with it, and is it actually bringing in money? Because I have, like, just now I'm building a website for a client, and they have this idea of what they want on their website, and I'm like, that sounds cool to you as the owner, but nobody is going to click that. Nobody wants that. Like, they want to, it's a collision repair company. Like, when you get in a car accident, they repair, and he wants his family's bio on it. And I'm like, that's cool, but people going for like collision repair based off their insurance, like, they don't care about your family's background or your work ethic. Like, they do, but I mean, I'm going to go look at how much it costs. I'm not going to go to your about and be like, well, you know what I mean? So I try to remind a lot of my clients and myself that you can create a ton of content and put on Instagram, but if no one's looking and no one's engaging and no one cares, it's just wasted time and money. I mean, that kind of sounds a little rude, but I try to tell them that, like, you're paying me money to create content that I know in my mind is not going to work. So I'm just not going to do it, because it just makes me look bad too, where it's like, I hired you, nothing happened, where it's like, I know.
Hey, Michael, interestingly enough, though, the other day I was looking at some statistics, and they were saying the most visited page on websites is the About page.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and which I found quite interesting. And they were saying it is because there's so many scammy websites and things that are going up, with people selling and taking money, and like you never see the product or anything like that, that people do want to know that it's a genuine business, there are genuine people behind it. So the About page, funny enough, they're saying is one of the most visited pages on a website. So just something to think about.
I definitely agree with that 100%. The only difference for me, though, is that I don't use About pages for sort of like validation. I
Yeah.
use social media built into the website so that people can just go and check it out themselves. So instead of an about me page, I'll maybe have an
Yeah.
about me page, or on the website I'll have places that actually has injected social media, because in a sense that's essentially what social media kind of does. Like when I go to a business, I don't really read their about me now. I go to their Facebook, and if they don't have anybody talking about them, or if there's not a buzz, I'm like, I don't know, I don't really trust these people. But when I
Yeah.
go to an Instagram and I see like 500 comments or something, I'm like, all right, maybe I should take this a little more serious. But not to say that an about me isn't important. I just find maybe a lot of people focus on things that aren't necessarily going to be like the main point of like getting the sale, where it's like that client wanted to focus only on the about me.
Yeah.
And then I told him like, oh, we should probably have like an instant quote box right there. I'm like, it's the home page. You got to have a little bit more than just an about bio. You know what I mean? But
I think,
Yeah.
I think you're right, 'cause people want to talk about, and when you're doing content, you want to talk about people's passion as well as their pain points. Like you were saying, you need to, you want them to, what's your, it always comes back to my favorite question. What is your goal? My goal is to get people to buy from me or work with me, ideally, because of a
Yeah.
passion, which is usually the reason you started your business. But you need to, in your marketing, in your content, in your posts on social, you need to come back to like, what is the pain? What is the problem you're solving?
yeah,
And what is
exactly.
what is your solution for that? But in a nice way.
Yeah, I kind of try to tell my clients quickly, like, think about the stuff that frustrates you when you go to other people's websites and just kind of apply that to your own business for the most part. Like, if I go to a website and there's no contact number, I'm getting frustrated. Like, where is your number? Try to kind of apply that to your own business, because they're generally the same things. There's no phone number, there's no email, there's no
Yeah.
contact page or something. You're going to get a little frustrated. But
That's right. Apparently having the actual phone number in the top right-hand corner of the website homepage is like
Yeah.
totally can make your sales rise, because it just has credibility. Even if they don't ring you, even if they don't call you, the fact that
Yeah.
you've got it there, they think, oh, it's a real person, and wow, they're giving me their number. So that's
I
pretty
had to fight my roommate on that, because my roommate started a furniture business and he wanted the phone number like at the bottom. And I'm like, no. And he's like, why not? I was like, I'll put a test to you. Go find a website that has a phone number that gets a lot of traffic and see where the location of things are at. I was like, these businesses spend millions of dollars a year to find out what works the best. I'm like, so if go look at your competition, like Ashley's Furniture like that, and all of them had a top right corner. I was like, it's not even a question of like, you just have to, like, that's just the status quo. Kind of like if you go to a web browser and the X is on the top right corner or log out, you just assume that. You don't just kind of think like, wait, where's all the information at? So yeah, I definitely top right corner.
Hey, you know what? And I do want to, Michael, just go back to something that you said earlier, because you were going, yeah, and I look at social and if they're on social and everything else. But the truth is, not every company is on social, and I'm going to say this as a social media person, but not every company needs to be on social because of what they actually do in their business. So, for example, I deal with a company, and their website works amazingly for them. They do have the about section and everything else, but they deal solely B2B and solely at a very high cost for B2B. So their clients are very niched. Do you know what I mean? Like it's very niched supplier type of stuff. They would never go on social. Their website does everything for them that it needs to do, So I do think it does depend. It's what Natalie said, coming back to your objectives and things like that. And we often think a lot from a low-level B2B or a B2C kind of business to consumer, business to customer type of thing, where social is absolutely fabulous and, it works for you. But there are companies out there that it wouldn't work. Like a website is good enough. It will work. That's the only thing that they really do need. And if they're active on that and they're working on that, it is like different strokes for different folks. So
I would definitely agree with what you're saying. And I think, like what you're saying is like, it obviously depends on the business. Like when I do like some little research for some clients and seeing like what their competition is performing, I'll go to like the top 10 websites again for like the collision repair, and their websites were horrendous. They did not look good at all. They had no social media presence, but they're number one on Google and they're just dominating and they're getting all the clients. So yeah, I definitely agree with that. But at the same time, I would say, I think it's changing now where you just expect social media from people. Not to say that it's always going to be like that, but just the way websites are being made or apps are being developed, or the way, like actual advertising is going towards, more towards social media. So I definitely agree. Like, I know a lady who does Reiki. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that, like energy work, and all of her clients are just from like trade shows and going to like these type of like festival places like that. But she is realizing now that when she started doing social media, she was able to either talk about it to people who otherwise had no idea and now are interested, whereas before they might have never went to like an energy class, seminar, or something like that. So I think you don't need to have it to succeed, obviously, like definitely, but I think the way it's moving towards, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to like not be able to, because if I had a choice, especially for the younger crowd, like if they're going to go to social media, they're not going to maybe go to like something else. But not to say, I mean, I totally agree with you. I think it depends on like whatever.
It really depends on the business, because I mean, somebody in Reiki, I would absolutely be saying, why aren't you on social media? Like, you should be there, like your product is perfect for social media. But a company that's selling safety equipment to suppliers, it just wouldn't work. Like, it just would not work for them. So it is like, depending on
what they
business.
could do, Juanita, would you say they could actually guest blog for someone else that's got a big social media platform?
They wouldn't need to. Like that kind of a thing, Natalie, they wouldn't need to do that. Like that kind of a business is making not just millions, multi-millions, and it's because of the supplier relationships and the relationships with their clients, and they're niched and unique. And so people will go there. Like, they're the top 3 in this country. They don't need to be on social. And honestly, social would not work for them.
Well, thank you. Jay Speedy put an interesting comment in. He said, Apple has brand awareness and major market penetration. I think computers when I hear Apple before actual apples.
That is true, yeah. If I said you have an apple, you're probably going to think computer. It's not like, oh, no, I meant
something to eat. Yeah.
I think I like, we have a family friend who's a lawyer, and I can't remember what type of field of lawyering he's in. I can't remember, but it's something very obscure where it's like, that's obviously not like, if it's for wills, like, I think it's called like grandfather lawyering or something like that. Something to do with like, you do wills for the elderly, or elder law. There we go. That's obviously not going to do well in social media because his clients are like 80 years old and above, But I think maybe just like, if I could say it generally, I think social media is pretty important these days. And I think it's only going to get more and more important. But yeah, I don't think like you should stress. I mean, kind of going back to what we were saying earlier, like you kind of need to like evaluate and analyze like what your clients are and how you're going to actually work. Because if Facebook doesn't work for you and you've spent thousands of dollars, then hey, maybe Facebook just doesn't work for you and you've kind of tested it, versus just like making the assumption that like, oh, it'll work. And then you're like, well, your clients are in retirement homes. They're not on Facebook, but
yeah, it comes back to that. Like, you don't need to do everything. You don't need to be everywhere.
Yeah, like I'm not on Pinterest. A lot of my clients are on Pinterest, not because it doesn't work. It's just I know it won't work for them. Like, I have a nightclub that wanted to be on Pinterest, where I was like, well, you can, but what are you going to put on Pinterest as a nightclub? Like, it's pretty straightforward. I don't think people want to, drinks or something,
So we've got a question. What's the best way to curate content? But before we go there, I did want to share one thing about repurposing content, and I thought it was a great idea. I have a lovely friend, and what she did is she's a gardener, and she started out blogging about her garden. So she'd moved from the city into the country and had some medical issues, decided that she wanted to start blogging about how to garden. She'd never done gardening in her life, and so she put it together and she put up all her, her wins, her losses, what worked, what didn't work. And eventually, with all the blogs she put together, she went to a publishing house and they published her book for her on gardening.
That's really awesome.
That's repurposing content. So a different way of doing it, putting it into a book. And what she's done now, and I know she walks around and does a lot of talks about gardening. She does shows on gardening. She gets called onto radio to talk about gardening. And that's somebody that was never a professional like gardener, vegetable grower, so just some other way of repurposing content. So what's the best way to curate content?
I was gonna say real quick, adding on to that, there's this. I'm a really big fan of this girl on YouTube. Her name's Nerdy Nummies. I don't know if you ever heard of it. I think it's such a good example of like you can make a lot of money off of whatever your niche is. She makes a cooking show and she bakes goods, cooking like bakery goods out of nerdy stuff. So she'll do like a Star Wars popsicle or like Super Mario Brothers, like little cupcakes or something like that. But one way that she was repurposing content recently, which I thought was really funny, is that she took down all of her videos from the beginning on YouTube about a year ago. And now every day she's just posting her her first 2 years. And it's like really bad and it's like bad lighting and her trying to figure it out. But it's funny because now those videos are now gaining like 2-3 more millions of views.
Yeah.
Just because she's like, oh, and now she calls it like Memory Monday or something like that. And it's funny because it's the same video from like 4 years ago, but she just took it down a couple years ago. And I don't know if that was her plan. I think maybe she was just probably embarrassed when she was doing more, branding and stuff like that. But she totally just repurposed it. And I watched her videos. I'm like, that is so funny. You just gained 2-3 more million of views just reposting the video. That was it, So kind of like you were saying, like it's a little more creative and it's not really doing anything crazy. It's just that was it, I like her because her niche is so weird. I would have never thought it would do well. And she's one of the top paid people on YouTube now for her videos or for her YouTube channel. And it's just making nerdy things or making like cakes that are like in the shape of like I don't know if you guys are familiar with Zelda, the video game Zelda. Making like a shield, a cake shield. A lot of her stuff's cool, but if guys came up to you like, hey, I want to do a baking show and I want to bake items that are like nerdy based, like video games, you'd probably be like, all right, well, go do that. But now she's making, a few $1 million a year doing it. But
And I love that because one of the tips I always give my people is not just know your niche, but niche your offerings. So what you actually offer to your people is really, really specific. And so she's not just like, oh, I want to help people that want to bake. It's like, I want to help people that want to bake really cool, nerdy sci-fi stuff. It's like,
yeah. And a lot of the people that watch this stuff, oddly enough, aren't even like guy nerds. They're like moms who want to do cute things for their kids. So like one of them was the Pac-Man, those little, you get little popsicle things you buy at the 99-cent store. You pour liquid and you put a popsicle stick in it. She made the ghost from Pac-Man and it was like translucent yellow and put little eyeballs on it. And all the comments were like, oh, my kids are going to love this for summertime, this and that. So it's funny because I thought it'd be these guys or maybe like nerdy because she's attractive, but they're all like these moms just trying to do it for their kids. And my aunt made a castle from Minecraft and she learned it from her show for her son's birthday party and he loved it. And it was like she went to Nerdy Nummies, but yeah, she's like my greatest example when I talk about like niche marketing or like your niche thing because she has 4 million subscribers, almost 5 million. And I would have never thought she would have that 4 years ago.
Yeah, that's amazing. Jem?
No, I was actually going to answer that question about, well, I know you're jumping around from repurposing and curating content. Yeah. So if I may just segue to that, to answer that question, there is this debate, two different schools of thoughts. When you curate content that resonates or what you're interested in and then giving it to your followers or sharing it to your followers, or do you curate content that that your followers would like to see? Now, I'd love to hear your comments and stuff. My experience is really it was more of a journey, meaning since I want to make sure that my brand is something that my audience resonates, this is me, I'm authentic, this is Jem, and what I curate content, yes, is something that I'm really interested in and think that my audience should see. And that's when I start getting all my followers. So it doesn't matter whether I have 1 million, 10,000, or just 5. The point is the quality of content I'm giving or curating is something that my audience is interested in and something that I am comfortable with and I'm interested in. I think that's like sort of a really good balance. Because I know there's some people, you have to go to BuzzSumo and stuff and just pick a trending topic because it's being shared by 1 million people, etc. Yes, but then again, it goes back to relevance. It goes back to who you are. I mean, why am I going to share something, create content on agriculture, as I said earlier, if it's something I'm not interested in? Because that means you're not authentic. You're just telling people, ooh, follow me. because this is something that I'm really good at. I picked up from a tool. Don't get me wrong. I love BuzzSumo. Seriously, it gives me, but that's just my thought. So that's my best practice.
Yeah. I think when you're talking about content curation, it's really about how you're taking content and categorizing it, categorizing content that's specific to an audience's needs on a specific subject, and the commenting that goes on that, and presenting, relevant information. And I think people get a little bit confused between curated content and content creation.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So it's not an aggregation of existing content, like it can look like content curation, but it lacks that commentary. It lacks that, getting involved in it. So what do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, I always think similar to Jam. Like, I will put out there, I'll share blogs that I didn't write. Like I say to a lot of my clients, you don't have to write like 3 blogs a week, as long as you're give, get, right? As long as you're giving helpful and relevant information. So sometimes it's funny, sometimes it's educational, sometimes it's a call to action that is relevant to your people. So it's about you, but it's not only about you. So I talk about social media and networking for women entrepreneurs because that's my thing. But I don't only talk about that. Like sometimes I'll talk about my kids, because partly that gives them a window into my life, but also a lot of my audience, they are doing what I call juggling the mother load. They are raising a family while running a business. And that some of the topics I talk about, like, just popped my youngest child into an extra day of kindergarten. I'm feeling a little anxious about it. What did you guys do for childcare? And how do you, make sure that you get enough hours in the day to do your work, or something like that. So I basically, and then I might link to a blog that I didn't write, but someone else wrote, and it's about childcare and juggling parenthood, that type of thing. So I will sometimes, if it's relevant to my people and it's in the moment, it's relevant to me in this moment, and I'm sharing a bit of my life, and I'll put it out there as well. So, I mean, I will also do posts, from Michael at Social Media Examiner. I'll be like, here's an amazing post all about Pinterest. Thanks, to Peg Fitzpatrick, who wrote, whatever, or Social Media Examiner. And I'll put stuff like that out, but I don't only do social media. It's a bit broader than that for my audience.
Yeah.
One thing that I've kind of done recently, and I mean, it's kind of obvious, but I don't think people do, is that, again, kind of going back, like I have maybe an assumption of what the crowd is that's following, but when I've ran like Facebook analytics, like really, really in depth, I mean, it obviously depends on how many likes you have on the page and if you can run it that bad or that extensive, but I'll give an example. I worked with a nightclub and I was doing all their marketing, and we were just trying to find out different ways to promote content that just wasn't always about like, come to our event, spend money. Cause it's kind of spam, even though we could do it as creative as we wanted. And when we ran the analytics, we found, we were able to find out about how much they spend their money on, what they're spending their money on, what other pages they liked. And the number one thing that people spent their money on was clothing. So we started kind of talking about clothing, and we started incorporating some kind of like events that had clothing in it. And our reach and our numbers were exponentially grown that month just by kind of looking at it. So sometimes we'll post content that isn't necessarily exactly at all what we're trying to promote, but just running through the analytics saying like, oh, most of our clients actually care a lot about this subject. And although it's not attached to us, why not just supply them with that information? Because at the end of the day, they want to know things, and they're going to go find it somewhere else. So I've been trying to get a little more creative with just not spamming. I know it's not spam, but just spamming the same thing over and over. And I know it's like, oh, Natalie deals with children, but what if you just talked about like, oh, husbands helping out or something like that, which isn't directly the same thing, but it's like, oh yeah, people actually do care about this. So we've been trying to get a little more creative with what we're promoting, and also not trying to go in the realm of like just posting memes where you're like, oh, okay, this page is just a meme. Like I had an artist that I was managing, and I told him not to. His name's Nathaniel Knows. He used to post memes all the time, and now he can't get bookings as like a DJ. He was like a worldwide known DJ because he's known as kind of a joke because all he posts is memes, and everybody calls him, oh, that meme DJ, and nobody books him anymore because he just went on that route of just posting like BuzzSumo type articles all the time and nothing. So we're trying to like walk that line of things that are trending, like BuzzSumo, which is kind of relevant to what we are, and also posting other content that we've, after running analytics and stuff like that, seeing like, okay, they actually care about this too. And it's somewhat related to us. But I mean, that again is like, you got to have time and money, or if you don't have either, then you got to just invest, into what's going to work and not work. But yeah, maybe that hopefully helped a little bit or gave some different insight.
Oh, it would do. Boomy has said, she says, even though content curation is important, creating your own work should still be at the very core of your blog. And I think not just your blog, I think at the core of a lot of your social media posting. I mean, that's really where you're talking about how you're getting your message out there, how you're branding. You were talking about your videos, Michael, like so important to be creating content, your own content as well. But I think there's a balance. So I've seen people, for example, on Pinterest, that all they do is just share everybody else's content. They don't create their own stuff.
Yeah.
Which is like crazy, because like, why wouldn't you be creating and then taking it back to your website and, selling whatever it is that you're selling on Pinterest? Because that's the point of it, right? And Pinterest is a sales platform. Like we all know that Pinterest is where you sell. And then you've got people that you go to Twitter and all they're doing is popping their own content out there all the time. You don't see them sharing. And like, that's all what it's all about. Like Twitter is all about, sharing other people's tweets, and it's so important to know the platforms and to know what you're doing on the different platforms. Creating your own, yes, but sharing is also as important.
Yeah, definitely.
Let me just interject, and sorry. My laptop's going to die soon. So I'm going to open up the seat for anyone who'd like to But thanks guys. It's been really wonderful. It's been about an hour and a half and stuff.
Wow.
Lots of, I know. And I know I've seen other blabbers, I don't know what you call us, we blabbers, being in blab like 24 hours or something, and it's been done, but I don't think I can do that.
No, and we're pretty much not going to do that, because we are, with all due respect, so just so that everybody knows, Jam, Natalie, and I are sitting in New Zealand at the moment. And it is then 11:30 in the morning in New Zealand, and we do have families to take care of. So Natalie's got 2 beautiful little kiddies, and she's got to go, and I'm sure 3. I've also got 3 Nats, although they're not as small as yours now. And we do have to go take care of family and everything else as well. Now, you guys can keep the blab going. If you want to, you can keep this blab going. If somebody wants to jump into my chair, they're welcome to just keep this blab going as long as I keep it open, Yep.
Well, anyway, guys, thank you so much. It's been great. Natalie, Juanita, and nice meeting you, Michael, as well. Hope you guys picked up some stuff.
Thank you so much for taking time, Jam. Thank you.
I'll just say that actually Jam did a fabulous job emceeing an event that Juanita organized last week, which was incredible. The social media conference. I'm just going to do a big shout out here spontaneously. The social media conference here in New Zealand, in Auckland. And it was an incredible event. And the caliber of speakers was amazing. The audience, like the people in the room, were incredible, and they loved it. So before you go, Jam, congratulations. You did an awesome job emceeing that event.
Yeah. Thank you. You guys were awesome as well. I had fun, so much fun. We have to do it next year again.
Oh, no, it is on next year again. So it'll definitely, we do it year on year. So that's absolutely fabulous. And in saying that, if I can segue into it, because Natalie was one of our fabulous speakers.
Yeah.
Like I said, the quality of speakers was amazing.
Of course. Anyway, I gotta go, guys.
She had Evan from Facebook, Simon from Google, Anna Stretton, who's a famous fashion designer here. She had Cassie from Air New Zealand, and Cassie Roma. She was incredible. Like she was awesome. Right up there with social media marketing world standard.
Yeah.
And Troy from Spark. Have I got everybody? Anyway, the speakers were really good.
And Leon
from
Fusion HQ.
He came onto my podcast last week, and then I'm going on his podcast tomorrow, Leon J from Fusion HQ. It was an incredible event. And Juanita, you did an amazing job. We're probably going to do another blab on another occasion about running events, because that's a whole other topic.
Okay.
Cool.
Anyway, bye guys.
Okay, bye, Sam. See ya. Bye. Bye. And I don't know if you guys want to continue, but I think we're about ready to kind of close this blab.
Yeah, no worries. I mean, we can do another day.
Michael, you know what? You've been so amazing. Thank you so much for jumping into the seat and giving us all your views.
Hey, I'm going to be in touch with you.
Fabulous. Yeah, yeah.
Sounds good. Thank you, guys.
We're going to do a podcast with you, Michael.
That'd be awesome. Yeah, I'm always around on here, actually. So I work from home, and I think I'm on the opposite side of you guys. So I think when it's a good time for you guys is probably like the best time for me too. I'm kind of a late night owl.
And there's some people that have been on here that have been absolutely amazing, like Boomy. I'd love to jump on and get to know you a little bit better, you know. Maybe have a blab, maybe have a podcast with you as well. So really cool.
Yep. Thanks, guys. Thanks, everyone, for watching. And so, Juanita, then will you repurpose this? Are you going to put out the replay?
Yeah, absolutely. We'll do, Natalie. And you can grab some of it too. And if you want to take pieces of it, you're very welcome. Like, you know, you want to do something with it yourself, go for it.
Excellent. And then it's been great talking about content. And if anyone wants to come and check me out, of course, on Facebook, Go To Girls Social Media. I've got a private group that's a very big free group for women entrepreneurs. And then I've also got my paid 2 mastermind groups, my influencers group, which is very small, and then my bigger online community. So I'd love to see some people in there.
And yeah, you can join my Facebook page, which is the Online Academy or the Online Business Academy. They're both there. And just find me, like Juanita Z3. You can find me all over. Come and join with me on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Go for it. And I will definitely join with every single one of you that have joined today. I see there's some really, really newbies. So I'm happy to join with you guys as well. Thank you very much, and have a fabulous evening, afternoon, morning, night, wherever you are. Woohoo. See you guys. Bye.
See ya.